santi ke se kolola tabaka baka. Toko ba ke se shite ko tuko. Laki hete ko mama beba ke se neko te kalati. O samakaboho kalete ko. Vaiski to chocolate. Vish kalati ko bokolite podna ma bekete. Anti ke se kardera kale toko. Tainti ke se kosha kababa kele toko. Des kabahake. Reka hasi shoto kolo kamante. Nampakati kalati ko hukobalite. Des kanishe de kororo kolmahe. Panti ke se te koskai. Maisi kotuko se kele kalati. Tanki se kale de koloko. Kababris kanema buko babai. Kankle kalkale de kole kanemani. Zisku boka dire ke de kolola kamane kalasiku. Taiski se te kolati. Te sakababo kole kanama karalo. O sakababa si shate kanere keleko. Tanti ke se kororo komaite kale heko pako. Taiti ko sokose. Miti kale kale kohoko. Veshka shati koloko. Temple to kabakai. Tokalake. Mes kororo barati kaderete. Tanti ke se te kalero kodai. Tokabai sisi ke se ko. Dis kanene kola kamako hekereroko. Daika se karerete. Ashe kobaka se kerere seko. Ashe no sokobaki dere seko toko. I'm calling into this space. Daika seko wa ashe seko de kalere ko. Peace. Dos kama kabokole kamare kere kote kalere do. Heart chakra activation. Nakere kere kobola shiko. To remove all negativity. Tanti ke se kalerati koko. Te kobokabai ke shite kote kabaki tiko. Da kale kala koste kalerati ko. Bes kanale te kole hamama beko bakasi shite kotai. Te kole kamono kole hitike. We give room. We give space for only the energies who are for our highest purpose. We call you forth. We call forth the great mother. We give thanks for you. For you are the creative force of all things seen and unseen. We welcome you into this space. Ashe, 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 Ashe. Greetings. Hi, Amani, Lahabana Bay. So, I am doing something different that I have not been doing. I felt compelled to do this because to many of us, maybe we feel our reality asking us to be different. This is hard for those of us who have tried so hard to control the things happening in our life since childhood, because those who resonate with the messages that I bring are those who always knew they were not originally from here. For those of us who are indigo children and star seeds, crystal children, those of us who came here with our chakras activated, with our third eye open, for those of us who experience being misunderstood, being bullied, shunned, maybe we were the black sheeps or the scapegoats, maybe we had periods of popularity, but even then we felt out of place. For those of us who experience karmic experiences that supersede our capacity to understand why these things happen to us. For those of us who never had anyone hold safe space for us, for those of us who had to raise ourselves, for the latchkey kids, for the ones who are orphans, the ones who were in foster care, for the ones maybe who were children of those who were possessed by the crack epidemic, for those of us who maybe experience poverty, hunger, for those of us who didn't get a chance to develop a true, authentic sense of self. Very early on, we learned that this world is the survival of the fittest, that you must be the strongest. You cannot be ever seen as weak. For those of us who were emotional, but at some point, we had to shut it down and repress it. For those of us who were unique, but we hid our uniqueness because our nervous system was still in shock at the experience of being in this prison planet system that is so opposite of where we originated from within the cosmos. For those of us who had a deep knowing that we were star seeds. For those of us who are now becoming more self-aware, we're starting to notice things about our shadow selves, the part of us that makes us feel ashamed, the part of us that doesn't allow us to live out loud, the part of us that feels like we have to walk on eggshells, manage other people's emotions. We just want to feel safe in a world that has become more alien as time has passed by to us. For those of us who try so hard to be what we think is expected of us to be by society, by our family, by all the conditioning and indoctrination, for those of us who maybe check all of the boxes is in regards to success, but it still feels like something is missing. For those of us who can't get away from the thought and the idea that nothing I do is never enough. It feels like I just can't get it right. For those of us who keep asking, what's wrong with me? For those of us who attract people with narcissistic tendencies, or maybe we're noticing we have them ourselves and we're starting to question, how did I become like this? What about me resonates to attract this in my life? For those of us who feel the sadness for everything that we believed and it has now been exposed to be a lie, for those of us who realize that the food pyramid maybe was not created for our highest, most effective well-being. For those of us who are aware enough to walk into the store and it's like glasses on our eyes, and it's not rose colored. We see everything for what it is. We see chemicals masquerading as food. We see children who are sick and maybe obese. There's so many things that we notice. For those of us who third eye is open, but maybe our nervous system was not ready for what it was going to allow us to see. For those of us who are noticing that feeling like a victim, it happens. Throwing pity parties, it happens. Being stuck in a dark night of the soul longer than you want to be, but you don't know how to get out of it. And maybe there's no one in your life, in your circle of influence that understands, overstands any of this. And maybe you feel like the lone wolf, wondering, where are my people? Where are my people? I can't be the only one that see things for what they are. For most of us, We are the only ones in our circle of influence, and that is by design. See, the 3D matrix has to keep us divided, at least in the illusion of division. Because if you get two of us together, just two, and each of us have 72,000 circuits that transmit information from the Akashic records throughout our body, that transmits Kundalini energy, life force, chi, prana, has been called by many words, Rush, rock. Just two of us, the 72,000 circuits in each of us equals 144,000, which means it only takes two to begin to dismantle the illusions that have kept us in cycles of trauma reenactments. This was the goal of social engineering. It was never really about the social aspect, but more so about the spiritual aspect. And this is why so many of us feel like we're living on an island, even though we may be around people all day, every day. This is by design. The purpose of this is to keep you in a vibrational frequency where you do not feel like you have the capacity, the strength, or the support to become the highest version of yourself. There is no room for your I divinity because every day is filled up with you trying to keep up an identity so that you can stay ahead. See, whenever the economy starts to shift, whenever we have an increase in prices of basic needs, the spiritual warfare that is taking place and showing up within the physical material realm is to keep our root chakras where our inner child lives. This is where we get the energy to survive. And if that root chakra is constantly being bombarded with messages of scarcity, messages that is not safe, all the other chakras will be misaligned, and we will not be able to step into that version of us that can shift into new timelines. This is by design. This is the design of the 3D matrix. It is a construct of imprisonment. And because we were indoctrinated at a very early age, we are now dealing with two minds. We are in that in-between space where we're experiencing what the mind of the ego in survival has been programmed to do, which is survive. That's it. Not thriving. Do whatever it takes just to get by. Some say that ego stands for edging God out. I believe it's more related to erasing God goddesses, operandi, opus operandi, so that we can't tap into the frequency consistently to actually shift our mentality to be in alignment with our I divinity. This is by design. In hopes that the loneliness, in hopes that the challenges, the lack of community, the lack of support, with the major numbers that we see of statistics of single mothers, this is by design, because when the feminine is struggling, when the feminine does not feel safe, when the feminine does not have community or support, it throws off the entire matrix. Because someone that exists within a feminine body is physiologically, anthropologically, metaphysically created to be a being of transformation, to be someone who act as a portal to other realms. Every indigenous culture before us understood the power of the womb man. When the womb man has to do whatever they can just to get by, when they don't have help, they're going to burn out, because the feminine is created to receive energy and transmute it into something else. This is why the feminine can receive semen and create a human, to conjure a soul into a physical body that is created inside of her. The feminine, the womb man, is the architect of creation. She is the master builder, in which all of humanity exists because of her. It is the feminine, the womb man, who has to endure levels of pain that the man can't even wrap his mind around. For inside of the womb man, we carry the eggs of our great grandmother, and we carry the data, the experiences, the trauma, and the gifts within us. Sitting here now, we were the egg that was inside of our great grandmother. This is why many of us have been called to be cycle breakers. We are the chosen ones. It rarely will ever be more than one. But the power of the feminine has been demonized, has been oppressed, pillaged, used, and abused for the power that she holds. It is through feminine activations that true rebirth happens. This is why the story of Isis and Osiris, masculine and feminine, coming together to create Horus, which is the Christos consciousness, the Christ consciousness, the ascended version of Osiris. It was the woman who was capable of taking the phallus of a man that she loved and regenerating and creating an illuminated version. This is not a story. This is the metaphysical, spiritual power that we have been given. But if we are stressed out, if we are burnt out, if we lack support, we can't operate at the capacity that we're called to. It is by design that relationship between man and woman has been under attack from every angle, because two people with 72,000 circuits within their bodies creates the 144,000. That isn't a number of people on the planet who are here to shift the paradigm. That is a metaphysical explanation of what happened when two come together. Because when two come together, you have two masculine hemispheres of the brain and two feminine hemispheres of the brain in each individual, which is 4. So the 144,000 plus the 4 aspects of the human mind, which is 4 quantum computers coming together with chakras that are aligned and rotating properly, can accomplish things that we have only seen in movies. It doesn't mean it's not possible. The importance of human relationships, healthy human dynamics, is the true journey. Alchemy is not alchemy without relationships, and this is not just romantic. Everything that exists in your reality is something you are in a relationship with. Our minds are being abused to keep us divided so that we do not step into the power of unification. Everywhere that we look, there's a reason to be frustrated. There's a reason to be angry. There's a reason to lose heart, to be disheartened just by what you are seeing, because you remember the world previous to this one that was your authentic starseed origin. So for you experiencing these things, it hits different because you know that this is not the way it's supposed to be. And maybe you feel the weight of wanting to be able to change it. So the archonic entities on this planet who are in control of everything that is being projected into our lives to create suffering, to feed on the despair, to feed on the pain of humanity. Those entities cannot be experienced without a person. And this includes your own mind. Many of the thoughts that you hear that criticize you, tear you down, hurt you, cause you to doubt yourself do not really belong to you. Anyone who is called to shift a paradigm will be a targeted individual within the prison planet system. This is the reason that it is imperative that we create a healthier relationship with our shadow self so that we are not constantly criticizing our own selves for not rising to the occasion, for not accomplishing what we think that we should have accomplished. We punish our own selves. We hold our own selves hostage in the programming of the subconscious mind. But because we are powerful beings, even when we do not feel like we are, a combination of dysregulated emotions, a nervous system that has not yet been wired to be safe, and a mind that is playing the loops of negativity. When you combine those things together with the 72,000 circuits just within you, you're able to project that out into reality. You broadcast that as a message. And that message is going to be mirrored back to you. The subconscious mind creates over 90% of our reality. If there's anything in your reality that is no longer in alignment, the key is to go into the subconscious mind, not the conscious mind. That's only about 10% of your reality. But if you are unsure what's in your subconscious mind, you can count on the people showing up in your timeline to be a mirror back to you to let you know. For those of us who are empaths, an empath is someone that not only is capable of feeling others' emotions, but someone who feels a sense of responsibility to make it better. Everyone doesn't have that. Everybody have a capacity to have empathy, but everybody is not an empath. But for those of us who are empaths, right now can feel very challenging because it's difficult to know what's my emotion. and what's coming from somewhere is something else. This is why artificial time keeps us busy, keep our mind busy. Many of us don't have a peace of mind. Our mind doesn't go quiet. It's a constant chatter. They call this ADHD. But the spiritual truth behind this is that you are actually a divine, very powerful, unique being who has the capacity to tap into many different channels, broadcasts of information and frequencies. But without the daily routines, the emotional regulation, the releasing of trauma that is stored within the body, the hips, the shoulders, the neck. When you are trying to step onto a new reality where you are a better version of yourself, yet you have all these other things happening, you're going to create chaos, which is beautiful when you know what to do with it. When you actually trust yourself. So many of us don't trust ourselves. These so-called algorithms that we have on these feeds that's feeding us information through servers. These servers have been trained by something that we cannot see, that we are calling some type of intelligence. We're exposed to this constantly. So now more than ever, the necessity for proper boundaries around the mind, the body, and the soul is going to be what separates the new earth from the old earth, and they will continue to exist simultaneously. Two people can be in the same city and have two completely different experiences. Two people can be in the same house and have two completely different experiences, though the events of the day have been exactly the same. Two people can lay in bed together and have two completely different experiences. It's all based on consciousness. It is key to remember right now that NPCs, non-player characters, these are like background people that fill up the space of the simulated reality that allow us to reenact trauma, because everything is a trauma reenactment, whether it's healed trauma or trauma that has not been healed yet, and it's always being a reenactment. It's always being simulated in your reality. This is what we come to Earth School to learn, the alchemy of life. As all of these energies are beginning to separate, maybe we are noticing that we have created illusions, lives, lifestyles, identities, careers, jobs, families, and the list goes on and on. But it wasn't really us. It was the version of us that we thought we were supposed to be. For those of us who are healing and desiring and calling this in, being open to accept course correction, to know that we need to let go of some things, to know that we need more discipline in certain areas, to know that we need to be more compassionate to ourselves. For those of us who are called to shadow work, who are called to personal development, and are actually making a conscious choice to do something about it. Even if you're not consistent, if you are putting any effort, if your mind is ever on any of these things, know that this eclipse coming up is going to cut cords from anything in your life that's not in alignment with your highest potential. And this may be a gradual cord cutting over the next 2 years, it seems that we will be experiencing this cord cutting, because in 2027 we're going to reach an apex, and this will be another major phoenix rising from the ashes happening to the collective of the people who are learning that we are co-creators of our reality. However, the NPCs are key. They are not the problem. The people that mistreated us are not the problem. They are a part of the purpose. They are a part of the plan. The things that happen to you, the beautiful things, can be really difficult to remember and recall. But the negative things that happen to you and the people that it was attached to, it's really easy to recall. That's by design. It takes more energy to think about the positive things that you experienced versus the negative. That's by design. For those of us who came through religion, who actually took the time to learn that religion is all a form of astro theology, we're going to be really feeling that belief system. We're going to be really feeling the trauma that this belief system caused. And we're going to see it. We're going to see it. There are going to be a lot of things that are going to be happening with people who are existing within those beliefs. And those people may or may not be ready to step out of that consciousness that feeds the demiurge who is the ruler over the archons. So when you think about a server and a feed, who is really controlling the information that you're receiving, and what is the intent? So on multiple levels, we're fighting a battle that is new for us. This battle has not been fought in Atlantis. Those civilizations, we had a lot of powerful spiritual abilities that we operated in, and it was a normal thing. And we reached the apex in technology, spiritual technology, digital technology. But those worlds had to be destroyed because there was a virus in the collective. Now we are back to that point within the Ouroboros, which is the snake eating its tail. It is a depiction of time. It is a depiction that nothing new under the sun happens. It is a depiction of the circular movement of the cycles of reincarnation that we experience to become the evolved soul version of ourselves. As time has regenerated itself back around to this point, we're being asked to align ourselves with our heart. You will not feel supported in doing this. You may not have anyone in your life that encourages you or help you to operate in the heart. It may seem like most of what's in your life keeps you operating from a place of being guarded and defensive, keeping your head on the swivel, hyper vigilant, always looking for the next threat. I gotta be ready. I never know. I don't know if I'm gonna get laid off or fired. I don't know if I'm gonna get blamed for something that I didn't do. I don't know. So the NPCs can start to see like a problem. And now sometimes we are the NPCs, because this is just a representation of a person when they drop below the veil of self-awareness. So when you have those moments where you aren't self-aware, when you have those moments that anger causes you to say things that you end up regretting later, that's a moment where you were not self-aware, which means in that moment you were acting as a non-player character. See, this is what I have not heard anyone else speak about that is very important for us to know. There is no black and white. There are infinite shades of gray in between the realm of consciousness and physical existence. It is a blessing and a miracle for us to have come to this planet at this time. We received the full earth disclosure of what was going to be happening. And if you are here listening to me, you chose to be here, which means you were equipped with something that you would not have been given had you not chose to be here at this period in time, which means that that part of you that is equipped, that part of you that is capable of shifting the paradigm, is the part of you that was repressed and shut down. And as this aspect of you is being activated, you're going to feel the pressure. We came here as carbon-based beings, but we are shifting to being crystalline beings. And see, that crystallization, I don't know if that's a word, but it flowed out like it was. But that crystallization that happens occurs because the carbon or the coal is put under certain types of pressure. And if you can withstand the pressure, you become the diamond, you become the crystal of consciousness, capable of being a prism of higher potentials. I want to say to you, make sure that you have a plan for your mind, a plan for your body, and a plan for your spirit, and you must stick to it. You can no longer be uncommitted to your journey of evolving and feel good about it. It's not going to be allowed anymore. This is the war cry. This is the trumpet. And for those who will accept the call, for those who realize that I have already been through hell, which means that energy is waiting on me to transmute it so that I can experience my heaven on earth. There is no hero. There ain't no heroines that we look up to that did not experience pressure. There aren't any great achievements that have ever occurred that existed without any form of pressure. Pressure is not the problem. Pressure is meant to be the catalyst. But if your cortisol hormonal levels within your physical body, if your stress levels are high and you don't have a plan to bring that down, you're trying to pour divinity in a cup that is filled with toxins. The two are like oil and water. This leads to creating a reality that is confusing, that doesn't make sense, it doesn't connect. So for many of us, in this time, with the eclipse that's coming, whatever has been fated, whatever was in our Akashic records, and maybe we've been holding it back. Maybe we've been holding things together that aren't meant to be held together anymore. Maybe we have been asking for more, but resistant to the change that it's going to take to get the more. Maybe we have been afraid to open up. Just be open. Just surrender sometimes. Just be open. Be trusting. Not feeling like you have to be in control of everything. Trusting and knowing that I am not doing this alone. It might feel like it sometimes, but I'm not going to allow my reality to mirror back to me what was created in my wounded self to overpower my soul's voice. I'm not going to allow my triggers to keep me stuck in prison. I'm not going to allow it. This eclipse is going to make a separation between you and your illusions. And you will be able to see things with clarity. But make sure that you are ready for what you have been asking for so that you can receive it. You're not going to be able to stop it from happening. It's going to happen eventually anyway. But you could do it the difficult way, being in resistance to the change that's being called for you to step into, or you could learn to go with the flow and trust the process. And yes, there are steps that you take to get there. We don't wake up and just be aligned. It's nice to think that it's possible, but we're not there yet. A lot of us haven't even gotten to the place yet where we can accept criticism. So it's really difficult for your I Divine Self to give you a course correction, because your I Divine Self knows that you collapse with any form of criticism. That doesn't mean that you're bad. It doesn't even mean that you're broken. It simply means that the system is broken. And the operating system that you have been using is no longer efficient because you're being activated. All of this plasma, all of this energy that is changing us on a cellular level, molecularly, we are shifting into the crystalline existence. As all of this is happening, it's at war inside of us with the things that no longer serve us. That's what is being severed. Specific things that have been in your bloodline that you are called to be the end of. It's going to be clear, and you're going to know. But again, that's just the first step. The next step is to make sure that you have your tools, you have your spiritual arsenal, you have everything that you need to navigate this journey. You are the star in your story. You're the star in your movie. But I want to ask you, have you been acting like you know that you are the star of your movie? Or do you find yourself getting lost and getting caught up in the winds of chaos that's blowing through every day? This is being intentionally generated. And it happens. But if you're watching me now, it means that you are ready to step into a higher level of accountability, and that you are allowing yourself to be more open to the change that's necessary. Change is never comfortable. Stagnancy can become comfortable because it's familiar, we know it. And I am telling you with every fiber of my being, I wasn't going to be able to go to sleep tonight unless I did this. And this is so different than what I thought that I was going to be doing. So if you're watching me now, know that you have been divinely orchestrated to receive this information, and that you can expect your life to start shifting and shaking however it needs to for you to be the version of you that agreed to be here. Because you are needed. You are important. And those of us maybe who experience inferiority complexes and not feeling like we really matter and not feeling like what we do really matters, you're usually the ones who are the chosen ones. And this is why you have those experiences. So I want you to think about this the next time you start doubting yourself, or the next time you start feeling fear about your journey, because there are a lot of things that we're just not going to be able to control anymore. But the one thing you can always control is you. So let's not focus on the simulated reality outside of us. Let's not focus on what's being mirrored back to us that's a reflection of our wounded self. Let's not focus on the things about us that we don't like in a way where it causes us to dislike ourselves even more. Let's not focus on the shadow aspects in other people that we feel like is the problem and is what's screwing up our life. Let's shift our focus away from that, because every single thing happening in your life because of who you are is a setup for you to become the best version of yourself. Everything. The heavier it may feel, the more power has been packed into that catalyst to propel you. This is why learning alchemy is so important. Otherwise, you find yourself at the effect of everything else happening, but you're supposed to be the main star in your story. You're supposed to be the one creating the conscious ripples. I'm going to pull some cards, and I just want to see what comes up for the collective. Thank you. This is the High Priestess energy. This energy is the energy of the alchemist. Things that have been mysteries for a really long time in the world and in your personal life, it's going to become clear. This is the High Priestess energy that we are being flooded with right now. A new clarity around your direction is unfolding for you. And though we asked for that, though it's exciting, though it's what we said we wanted, it can be challenging to go through it. Be willing to wait for the full reveal, but also recognize what is happening at this time. You will be gaining valuable insight into what you are being led to and for what purpose. Everything I just said. Everything I just said. And tell you something. Why do you think the High Priestess energy has been so suppressed? Anyone can operate in this energy. This is the one energy, the one thing that cannot ever be destroyed. So illusions are created even in our own minds. Some of us believe things that are not true. Some of us believe that we are failures. Some of us believe that we don't have strong intuition. Some of us believe that we are not energy healers. Some of us believe that we're just not good enough for what it is that we want. Those beliefs don't align with who you truly are. It is the high priestess energy that's going to shift those beliefs inside of you. It's not all about external rituals anymore. It's about the internal work. Clarity comes through those things. High priestess energy doesn't see anything as a personal attack. High priestess operates from an eagle eye perspective, that everything that is occurring is here to be in service to me. I just need to know how to use it. I just need to know what to do. When you start thinking in high priestess energy, when people do hurtful things, when you're betrayed, when you're lied to, when you're mistreated, because see, when you start to get activated, sometimes people will be saying something to you that's not true because they're disconnected from their authentic selves as well, and they may not be aware in that moment. But you, because you're being activated, you pick up on the frequency. And so if this person really believes that what they're saying is true, but you pick up on something else, it creates a conflictual energy between you and them. And sometimes you try to ignore it and just go along to get along. I mean, how can you argue with a person about something happening within them on an energetic level that they aren't aware of is occurring? You can't. So a high priestess knows how to use that energy in a way that is going to be empowering. This is what we're being asked to step into, so that we can shift away from the blame game. And it doesn't mean that we don't hold people accountable for how they treat us, but we start to pay more attention to holding ourselves accountable for how we treat us. This is the energy of a high priestess. She isn't focused on what everybody else is doing. Her focus is her intention, her energy. Because wherever our attention goes is where the energy flows. I have had 4 dreams in the last 2 weeks about dark women, dark-skinned women that just had an aura filled with power. I could just feel it. And they're talking to me, telling me things that I couldn't make sense of until just the last few days, spending time in self-reflection, meditation, and just being quiet and with my own self. And one of the messages that I was given by one of them was to take more accountability for what shows up in my reality, even if it hurts. Because only by doing that will I ever have power. The ingenuity, the genius of intuition and divine feminine essence has been speaking to me. In one of the dreams, I was told that I was going to activate a wave of healing. And even in this lucid dream, I doubted it. And I said, me? No, I don't think I'll ever be able to do that. And in the next dream that I had, she pulled up in a vehicle, a red car. It wasn't a little red Corvette, but it was a little red car. And she said to me, you walked up to the car with your dignity intact. She said, you looked me in the eyes. And I know that that means that you are a genuine, kind soul. Don't you ever forget that. And she stuck her hand out and shook my hand. there is absolutely no logical reason I would be having these dreams like this. And I knew that I was interacting with an aspect of the Great Mother. Red car, red vehicle, red represents survival. Red represents primal energy. Red represents the root chakra. Some of us need to hold our head up, know that our dignity is intact despite whatever it is we feel like we have failed at. Hold your head up. Walk different. Wherever you go tomorrow, I want you to walk in different. Consciously shift your mind to make sure that your posture says, I am someone of integrity. I am someone of power. I am a spiritual being and I have a divine purpose. Start to walk in rooms with this energy. Whatever situation it is that you're in, maybe that you don't like, walk in with this energy. And a lot of the things that you have been trying to change in the physical world will start to change itself. Things are just going to start happening for you. People may even start calling you and asking you, like, do you need any help with anything? And it might shock you because maybe you were always the one giving out the help. Anything is possible. The way that you enter into this particular portal that's opening up, this could be exactly what you have been waiting for. This could very well be the next chapter that you're stepping into consciously. No longer just waiting on something to happen to fix things for you, but just making sure that you're a vibrational match for those solutions that you desire. And practice being mindful as often as possible. A high priestess is mindful. A high priestess is very well aware of the dark side of themselves. And they're at peace with all of who they are. This is why shamans hold this energy where you could just sit and listen to them like forever it feels like. Because there is a wholeness that is being transmitted through them. And plant medicine is the energy of the Great Mother. It has to come through the womb of Mother Earth. Soil is connected to the soul. This is the soul of Mama Earth within these plants. And so people that work with plant medicine exude this vibrational field around them of integrity, of dignity. And that's the thing that draws us in for those of us on this spiritual journey. But I'm being told to tell you to no longer look at that as only someone outside of you, but that's an aspect of you that you're picking up on within them. It's everything is everything. The next card that I pulled is the Queen of Heaven. All of this divine feminine energy that's coming up right now, I'm telling you, look up a list of the qualities of the feminine so that you can be more aware of when you're operating in feminine energy. And by having the awareness, that's consciousness that you're adding to that space. You're kind of taking that space and you're packing in love, higher consciousness, femininity, receptivity, so that you can be guided to create your heaven on earth. The Queen of Heaven is the divine empress of the skies. Acknowledges your feminine authority now, whether you are a man or a woman. You have a life path of spiritual leadership to bring qualities of mercy, compassion, and wisdom into the world. I can guarantee you, ain't nobody told you that. Ain't nobody ever in your life nurtured that divine aspect of what you're capable of, especially within the feminine. For all of us, adding feminine practices to your day-to-day life, yeah, it's going to accomplish what masculine energy cannot. The next card that I pulled is the Temple of Carnelian. And as you can see, Isis has Sekhmet behind her. Isis being the mother of mothers, Sekhmet being the protective mother, the divine feminine warrior energy. She's the one that devours demonic energies, negative energies. She feeds on them so that it can be transmuted into something else that's of benefit. She represents the capacity for us to be courageous. Again, Sekhmet is a warrior. And for so many of us, the warrior has been attacked, berated, and beat so much to where we are disconnected from that part of us. We're so wounded, we don't know that we have the ability to do spiritual warfare in a high priestess energy to create heaven on earth. And it's usually meant to be something that happens that makes no logical sense. And we're looking for the logic. We're looking for linear steps. We're looking to be able to see, can I have clarity and know what's going to happen before it happens? Again, this path takes courage. This is the Temple of Carnelian, carnelian crystal, one of my favorite crystals, and I think I have them on sale in the shop right now. If anybody is looking for it and you can't find it, let me know. Send me a message and I'll make sure that I make that available for you. But carnelian is this beautiful, vibrant orange color, and it holds the energy of creation, the sacral chakra. And this is the chakra in which all of us exist because of the sacral. This is your ingenuity, your imagination, your creativity, your sexuality, your abundance, your fertility. It says it's time to trust in your own boldness and courage, taking risks that feed true to your heart, engaging in practices that make you feel truly and genuinely alive, embodied and more of yourself, even if not always comfortable. You're being called now to live this type of life. So many of us don't feel alive. I know I'm not alone in this because I felt it. Where I feel like I'm not living in my highest expression. I just, it's this deadness, it's this heavy weight, it's just this lack of, nothing really stirs me the way that it used to. And it's because what used to work for me is not going to work for me anymore, because even though it may seem like I haven't changed, I'm actually a whole new being. A completely different multi-dimensional aspect of me has stepped into the realm because of the work that I've been doing. So yeah, most of what's in my life now probably is not going to feel blissful for me. It's not going to make me feel alive. Now, there's a frequency battle going on as well that makes it difficult for you to create and feel bliss, to feel alive, to just feel joy. When was the last time you just genuinely felt joyful? Because sometimes I feel guilty that I don't feel joyful as I think I should when certain things are happening. Can anybody else relate to this? It's like I know I should feel really good about this, but it's just flat. I just feel flat. Am I the only one who has felt that flatness? Because you know, when the heart goes flat, that's the heart chakra. The physical heart keeps your physical body alive, but the heart chakra is what keeps the spiritual body alive. You feel it? Absolutely. So you can activate your heart. You can on demand shift from feeling nothing, feeling apathy, just feeling too tired to feel. Can anybody relate to that? I'm just here. Exactly. I'm just existing. Right? The energy that we can't see that's around us, this is one of the side effects of that too. So it's multiple reasons that we feel that way. But you can shift that. You can change that. So I'm giving you a whole master class right now. So beautiful. I'm gonna show you one of the ways that I do this, and make a list of things that make you feel alive. Okay, because The Walking Dead wasn't about us walking around like zombies from some virus or whatever spread. It, all of those movies and TV shows, it wasn't being created for nothing. It's more so a representation of our spiritual essence, being dead, being asleep, being unaware, to where you're just a mindless feeder, just existing and going through the 3D matrix steps for survival and nothing else. We're leaving our territory open to be inhabited by things that do not belong or deserve to be there. So I want you to know, even in the flatness that you may feel, there's a purpose in that as well. And the High Priestess consciousness can help you with that. So one of the things that I do when I'm feeling flat, sometimes it might feel like boredom as well. It's just a disconnection. You feel disconnected. And we do have these periods where we stop seeing synchronicities. We have these periods where we're not having those spiritual experience. We have periods where we let our crystals just sit and collect dust. We have periods where we got a whole lot of spiritual stuff in our cart and we intended on getting it and we excited about it and we think about, oh, I'm going to do this with the incense, and oh, when I get this crystal, oh, I heard this moldavite crystal can help you have astral dreams and remote viewing and all of this stuff that we want to tap into. And then it's like life started life and you just forget all about the spiritual stuff that you were so excited about. It made you feel alive. Make notes of the things that make you feel alive. And if you have things that can be used spiritually that made you feel alive and it's collecting dust, like maybe this is that wake-up call for you to get back to it, for you to dust it off. You got to be about your spiritual business. But when you're feeling flat, that's not the space that you want to be in when you're doing it. And so because we're being bombarded with these frequencies that create apathy, they create this flatness and this disconnection, it almost causes you to feel like there's no point in you doing any of the spiritual things because nothing is going to change. And in my reality is created through my intention and how I feel. Well, how I'm feeling right now, I don't think I really even had the energy to try to change it. And you end up just doing nothing. And before you know it, day turned into a week, week turned into a month. And there are these spiritual activations wanting to happen through you, but you're not open to allow it to flow through you. And oftentimes it's because the mind, the ego, is getting in the way. So one of the things that you can do, one of the things that you can do, breathe into the heart, but I want you to breathe into the lower heart, the higher heart, and the back of the heart. So the lower heart is what's connected to all of the lower chakras that are being constantly attacked. So by putting breath into the lower heart, it's moving blockages. It's just like how you've seen stories about people having heart surgery and they had blockages, you know, that had to be removed surgically. Like this is spiritual surgery. And so if there's a blockage sitting here between the lower chakras and the upper chakras, well, there's going to be a lack of activation of the heart. And so all of the things that the heart is capable of generating for you is not being generated. And this translates in different ways emotionally for us. And being in fight or flight all the time keeps all of these lower chakras activated in the worst way, and they never stop. So the heart has to protect itself from that, and creates a blockage. And so now you're like split into half, and you're existing through the lower self, the wounded self, but you feel the higher I divine self as well, speaking to you, wanting you to be united and integrated. The longest distance is truly between the head and the heart. So by breathing into the lower heart, this helps with all of the lower self experiences. And so I'll walk you through that really shortly, and I want you to just take a mental note of how you feel before and after. So if you breathe into your lower heart, just imagine the lower heart as you breathe in and inhale, it's going to grow vines, roots, and those roots at the speed of light are going to shoot down into the ground, into Mother Earth, and she's going to hold you, and she's going to draw out of you what is no longer serving you. Okay? So you do that first inhale. Just intend that it's going into the lower part of the heart. And the roots at the speed of light are just shooting out of the bottom of your heart into Mama Earth. And she's getting all of this energy because she can take it and use it. She can use it all. And this is allowing you to remove the blockages, to feel lighter, feel more safe, because you're being grounded by Mama Earth, a sentient being who cannot be conceptualized in the human mind, of her capacity to hold all 7.5 billion of us to have this human experience. She's very powerful. Nothing that you're going through is too much. Now I want you to take that breath into the upper heart. The upper heart is what allows you to connect to the upper chakras. So this allows you to speak your truth, to find your truth, to communicate in healthy ways through the throat chakra. This allows the third eye chakra to not only be aware and see through the illusions, but the personal illusions that keep you trapped in cycles of not liking yourself. You can start to see through those. That's through the upper heart being open and activated. The crown chakra, your capacity to receive knowledge from the cosmos. The upper heart, the capacity for you to take better care of yourself, especially for those of us who learn to people please, to fawn, to be codependent. We care so much for other people and we give so much, but receiving does not come natural to us. It doesn't feel safe. So the upper heart is going to help you to take better care of the self, because it's not focused on survival, it's focused on you thriving. Okay? So we're going to breathe into the upper heart. And just imagine that that breath is coming into the upper heart and is creating electricity and currents of just shooting, 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 shooting. Inhale into the upper heart. See the light. See the sparks shooting all through the heart. The heart is coming back online. And it's activating, transmitting the consciousness of love, the capacity to love yourself, the ability to see, hear, feel the divine purpose of everything in your life. Continue to breathe into that upper heart. Now I want you to breathe into the back of the heart. Now the back of the heart is connected to the spinal cord. And the spinal cord that's sending that energy up from the base of the spine, Ida and Pingala. These are basically electrical currents that move life force energy through us. The back of the heart is in direct connection with this part of you. It is usually the back of the heart that's the last space energetically. When I do readings with people and if I'm looking into their chakras, the back of the heart, sometimes the front of the heart is open, but the back of the heart is closed. And so all of that Kundalini energy is just hitting against the heart. It's not moving through the heart space and into the upper chakras properly. And so what happens is it creates this static, because there isn't a flow. In the back of the heart, when it's closed off, you'll know, because it's really easy for you to get defensive. You may find yourself getting defensive towards your children. Have you ever had that happen? You know, you're like, why am I getting defensive with a 2-year-old? But the back of the heart, when you're in fight or flight, when you're stuck in survival mode, and all this energy is trying to move through you, if the back of the heart is closed, it's going to create that static, and that static manifests as emotional instability. So we're going to breathe into the back of the heart, and this energy comes in more like a wave. It's not the bolts of electricity, it's more like a wave. And it is a wave of openness, of safety, of love, trust, and self-compassion. So I want you to take a deep breath into the back of your heart. And just visualize emerald gold waves just waving through the back of the heart. And with each breath, you allow whatever has been sitting on your shoulders, sitting on your chest, riding your back, aching your heart, you're just allowing it to move out and down, so that Mama Earth, so that the ethers, the Akash, the element of air, can take this energy and transmute it into something beneficial. Just continue to breathe, visualize, and hold this intention. To the back of the heart. You don't have to hold on to the resistance. You don't have to hold on to the frustration. Just let it flow through you. Now I want you to take your hands. We're going to take all of this energy work that we've done on ourselves, and we're going to add heat to it in our hands. You driving, please don't do this. And we're going to take this heat into our hands. The heat is generating atoms, and the atoms are moving matter itself. The heat is a quickening, it's a catalyst. There's chakras in your hands. So we're going to take all this energy and gather, and I want you to rub your hands until you start to feel warmness. When you start to feel that warmness, I want you to take your hands, open them up, and send that love energy out through you, allowing yourself to no longer be a vessel that holds frustration, pain, suffering, despair, fear, but a vessel who holds love and transmits, broadcasts, projects that energy out into the world wherever it is needed. This is you allowing yourself to become a vessel, to become a conscious portal of love. Hold your hands out and release it. Release it to whoever needs it. Just send it out. Just Just allow all of that energy work that you have done to just flow right through you. You are just the medium. You are the beacon. You are the high vibe tower. Can you feel the vibration in your hands and your fingers? What do you feel? I feel vibration through my whole body. And I'm releasing what I created inside of me into the world. This is learning how to operate in High Priestess energy. And it took us maybe 5 or 10 minutes. How do you feel now? Ashe. Do you feel a difference? It's okay if you don't. There's no judgment. But this is one way that you can activate the heart. So there's something called the tongue meditation. And it's basically you sending love and compassion out to a targeted, chosen group. And you're sending that energy out. So maybe you're sending that energy out to children who are being abused, or in areas where it's a lot of war and things like that happening. The tumbling meditation is an ancient form of meditation where you allow your body to become a temple of compassion, kindness, and love, and you send that energy out. See, some of us are trying to take in, but we're meant to be sending energy out. And you'll know that you're called to do this kind of work because you usually have people and things in your life that tend to drain your energy. And that's because you haven't been operating in it consciously. And maybe you have been operating as an empath. Maybe you have been codependent and people pleasing. And so as this happens, your energetic body, the template in which you operate, is malfunctioning. And so this can show up in a lot of different ways within the body. And so what we just did was generating that energy within us, allowing Mama Earth to cleanse us and release. And then once we have been purified, we send that energy out. This one thing, this one way of being intentional about love, compassion, and consciousness can make you feel alive even when you don't. So anybody here maybe who was feeling flat before you got on here, you probably feel more alive right now than you did before we started. And it's nothing special about me in this work. You can do this too. And this is why it's not enough Khamsins to do all of what I would like to do. But this is why I created the course, so that you all would be able to create this in your own day-to-day lives. And you don't have to book a reading with me to learn these things. But I just wanted to walk you through what it's like to actually learn how to modulate the energetic circuitry within your body. 72,000 circuits, that's a lot of energy. And you have to be using it. What are you doing with it? Because if you're not using it, then of course you're gonna be frustrated, sad, sick, depressed, hopeless, confused. It's gonna make things harder than they have to be. I'm glad you feel more empowered. Yeah. Ashe. So before I get off of here, I'm gonna pull one more card. I don't know what's going on, but I'll say this much. Whoever ends up watching this, whenever you do, because this message is truly timeless. But some stuff really finna start making sense. Whatever been a mystery to you, it's not gonna be a mystery anymore. So make sure that you are willing to take life into your hands. Treat yourself better, be more compassionate, and trust that work we did together. Trust that at any time you can choose to allow love to move through you. So the card that I pull is the King of Pentacles. And I wanted one more card. The King of Pentacles. It's interesting because the root chakra is associated with the King of Pentacles. And so to me, this symbolizes that we're going to feel more safe than we ever have, not because something in our life or someone in our life changed and made us feel that way, but because we're learning how to ground ourselves, have stability, and we're learning what we need to step into that power within ourselves. Now, the King of Pentacles represents self-control. It could also be a representation of enterprising. So some of us are going to create businesses or side hustles, whatever it may be, throughout this spiritual journey as well. If you have been desiring to step into something new, and maybe you work corporate or something like that, like, just know that you're being guided. Okay, you're being guided, and this is not gonna be what you do forever. All right. This can also represent material success, better financial management. Okay, and I want to put the emphasis on having stability. And it's so beautiful that we get to experience a Great Depression, but with this consciousness that's available to us, y'all, we can do so much more than we think that we can. Now, when this is showing up in a shadow way, it could show up as a fixation, vexation around money, resources, material things. This could show up like as constant worry about not having what you need. It's just not enough. Worrying about how corrupt everything is being revealed to be. And, it's just like, how am I supposed to be able to thrive and all of this corruption is happening? This can show up as just being rigid and refusing to change, refusing to allow, having a lot of resistance, being stubborn. The shadow side of this could also be just not being productive, and not in how much work you're doing, but what you're doing in your day-to-day life. Like, what does your spiritual production look like? Are you saying that you are a spiritual being, but you don't really? If someone was to take a routine checklist of your day-to-day life, like, would it include any spiritual activities? And how much of that? You want to make sure that you are in alignment with what it is that you say that you believe that you are. Because when you believe that you are a spiritual being, but there is a lack of any of that occurring in your life, that creates internal conflict, that creates civil war inside of yourself. And, that part of us get abused. It get abused often. So I want you to embrace all of this, because even if I called out some of the shadow aspects of you, embrace that as well. And I challenge you to see, is there any beauty in this shadow part of me? And can I find that? Because when you learn how to find beauty in the shadow parts of you, you won't feel ashamed about it anymore. And you will start to attract opportunities, relationships, spiritual tools, information, all types of things. You will start to attract things into your life, maybe that you was looking for and couldn't even find it, but now you're magnetizing these things into your life because you are a vibrational match for these things. And this is what we're meant to be able to step into, so that we'll start to attract people, places, and things, activities that's in alignment with who we really feel we are. And the more time that you spend in operating within that spiritual realm of the authentic soul resonance that you're called to operate in, that's always being suppressed. You know, the more that you're able to step into that world, the more that you'll be able to shift the whole paradigm of your personal experience and the collective experience with each of us. So whatever you thought was impossible, I just want you to know that it was possible. And a lot of people maybe who are no longer in your life for whatever reason, have it happen, probably go start trying to want to come back and be in your life. And maybe to you nothing has changed, or it's a lot of stuff about your life you want to change, but sometimes people who don't know how to create their own life force energy are like moths to flame. And so as you're going through the things that rise from the ashes transformation, they might pick up on that. So don't be surprised if people start trying to attach to you or come back into your life or whatever. It's a part of the journey. And like I said, you know, this can also show up as attracting opportunities and different experiences, and just having the courage to do things that you hadn't had the courage to do before. It took courage for me to do this collective reading today, because I have a lot happening right now that I will talk more about later. But it took courage, you know, and so I'm not perfect. You know, I go through these things, and this is why I do the work that I do. So I want to thank you all for showing up. I appreciate you for being open and allowing me to share this with you. Integrity is something that's really important to me. I have always wanted to make sure that I'm not representing something out publicly that I'm not really living and experiencing within my own life. And this is something that I'm always checking. And it's like, if I can trust me, if I trust myself to be operating in the highest integrity, then I know when people connect with my energy, that they will also experience that aspect of themselves being activated within themselves. And so, you know, it's a lot of spiritual teachers out here, but I will say there's a lot of responsibility that comes with being a spiritual teacher, and that you have to be self-aware. I wouldn't do this type of work and have done this meditation with you all unless I was being divinely guided to do it. The time of just trying to create content to keep up, because that's what all the business coaches say to do and all those things. I trust that my business is gonna thrive, not because I'm always being up to date on the latest marketing techniques and stuff, but I just want to show up in integrity and simply allow integrity, love, and compassion to be what translates as a successful business, a successful resilience coach. You know, that's what I teach. And the reason why I've been so open about a lot of my challenges is because oftentimes people who are on the other side of our device, you can wonder, like, do they go through anything? You know, like, have they just arrived and they're not going through this stuff? It can really feel like that, and sometimes that can make you feel worse about yourself, because you're like, again, what's wrong with me? You know, oh, she manifested a whole husband, a baby, and a small island, and she said the only thing that she did was use affirmations every day. Like, I've been doing affirmations for 15 years. What's wrong with me? Type of thing. You know, it happens. So, but you can actually all by yourself, without having to depend on anybody else, create a structure for yourself where you can operate in a way that's going to allow you to be that high vibrational version of yourself. And it don't mean that you ain't gonna never experience no low vibrational shit, because you are. But again, you're going to be stepping into the high priestess energy. Remember, we pulled the card with Isis. You're going to be stepping into the high priestess energy, where no matter what life brings to you, something beautiful is going to come from it, because you are remembering who you are and what you're capable of. So this is that energy. I've created blogs and sent out tips about what to do during eclipses. I talked about that in the previous video. So if you haven't watched it, go and watch that previous video. I want to thank y'all again. Make sure that you subscribe and hit that thumbs up, y'all, and you know, so that we can get this word out, so that more people can get this information. And I think that's it. All right, y'all. Peace.